One of the joys of living in the Chicagoland area is that we have this beautiful lake to the east of us. You ever drive down Lakeshore Drive and see how peaceful and calm and beautiful? You know, it's just a great, great lake. But also, it can be extremely dangerous. A shift of the wind will bring waves crashing across Lakeshore Drive, flooding streets, and rip tides will pull people into the water. It is very dangerous, that lake. Yes, many times because we see it so placid so often, we take it for granted that we must be alert, we must be aware, and take care. Well, the Sea of Galilee is much like Lake Michigan, much smaller, of course, but it sits in a bowl, and there are mountains surrounding it. And when it's calm and serene, it's very, very placid. You know, we were on a boat crossing it, and it was just so nice. But in the blink of an eye, the wind can change, and there's total chaos. And that's what's going on in today's gospel. When the disciples and Jesus left the shore, everything was fine. But all of a sudden, turmoil happens, and they were terrified. The boat was sinking. And who's in the back asleep? Jesus, supposedly. And they say to him, why are you letting this happen? And he just said, be still, be quiet, it'll be all right. You know, most of us, I think, live our lives like we're on Lake Michigan or the Sea of Galilee. Everything's floating along, we're going along easily, moving here and there and living our lives to the greatest. And then all of a sudden we hear, you have cancer. Boom. Your loved one has died suddenly of a heart attack. Boom. You've lost your job. Boom. You can't get into the school you want to. Boom. And there's chaos. We think of nothing else. And we wonder, what happened? Why did I get sick? Why did someone whom I love die? Why didn't I get into the school I wanted? Why didn't I have a job? Why did I lose my job? And there's utter chaos. And that's natural. But in those moments, how do we react? Of course, we all react with, well, why me? Which is normal. But then, all of a sudden, somebody hears that we're not well, or we've lost our job, or there's something devastating that's happened in our lives, and they reach out to us, not necessarily saying anything, but just being in our presence, by just being there, by saying, how may I help? And suddenly, we're more at peace. We know we're not alone. That's what's going on in today's readings. Job's living the good life, and suddenly he loses everything. And finally, he's being patient. But finally, he's had enough and said, God, what did you do to me? And God responds, Job, I created you. I gave you family, I gave you life. And even though you've lost everything, I'm still here. I haven't given up on you. And of course, Job's life changes. He begins to understand that in his anger, that God was still there. God was with him. Jesus and the disciples, why are you sleeping? I'm here. Be quiet, be still. Don't be afraid. When life gives us so much grief, we have to know that we're not alone. We have to remember that God's not going to appear to me and say, Jim, you're going to be all right. But when we have friends and people who care for us, that's what it's about. And as St. Paul says, the love of Christ compels us. In Latin, it's cogito Jesu ergo sum. I'm driven. And that's what we're called to do. In the lives when we see chaos, each and every one of us is called to bring comfort. Each and every one of us is called to say, I'm here. Then we feel the healing presence of Christ in our lives, knowing that we're not in this alone. We all know that we have the love of God, the love of neighbor. That's what it's about. So why are we terrified? We got bad news. Why being a people of faith, we know that God is with us, and that gives us peace and comfort. And like Lake Galilee and the Sea of Galilee and Lake Michigan, eventually the storm passes, and we're on level ground, level seas again.
Thank you for joining us today. Our digital ministry provides a valuable service to parishioners and visitors alike. How wonderful that we can share God's Word, the celebration of the Eucharist, and other important words and events with those who may not be able to be with us in person. If you would like to support this effort, please go to olphglenview.org. Click on the gold donate button and then the Sunday giving icon to make a contribution on our secure online giving portal. We sincerely appreciate your past and ongoing support. Thank you for helping us continue this ministry. God bless.